So it's summer again, and this wing was my previous project. So now it's time for something new. Someone left out this bed bottom, and it's just calling to be something new. So here it comes. Well, the great thing about woodworking all alone is that if you make any mistakes, no one would ever find out. And if you're seeing any smoke coming out, I definitely did not hit any metal staples, and yeah, I had to throw away the blade. This is probably going to be the only mistake throughout the project, so from now on, everything goes as planned. Sanding. Every project I build makes me want to buy a new tool, and I'm starting to realize which tool that might be. I am now using a random orbital sander, and it's just not removing material fast enough. What am I building? Well, yeah, I do have a little bit of a plan. I drew this sketch of what I want to build. Yeah, okay, I don't really know how to draw, but hey, those who can't draw teach drawing. At least they have a profession. Not having a plan, that's the best. You can't really go wrong without a plan, can you? Gluing. Well, wood glue can be very strong, but it would need to dry under pressure, which here is not an option. I don't have a way to clamp them. I'm putting in the screws only after the glue is dry, and the glue here just prevents the two pieces of moving, especially when you have a diagonal cut. And I like this drill bit that allows you to kind of sink in the screws. It drills a small hole and a big hole together in the same bit to kind of hide the screws in. And then I use this little peg of wood to hide the screw. But I usually don't really get a clean cut. I always kind of mark the wood a little bit and then have to sand it back. Right here we are at the 70-30 point. This is where the project flips. Up until now, there was a 70% chance that this wood would end up abandoned for the rest of time. Given we have made it this far, this wood is now legally no longer a pile of garbage. I want to tell you more about what I'm building, but I have a really strong feeling that I am being watched. The neighborhood cat has now new kittens, and they think my yard is home. I wouldn't mind, except I'm a little worried about the cat that would be aggressive towards my dog now that she has kittens to protect. But look, my dog won't do anything to them. Anywho, this is the base, and it's going to hold down the top. So the base comes together with this piece that I'm sawing together. It's like sewing, but for wood. There are two types of saws, a push and a pull. The push saw, you use your body weight to do the cutting motion. You lean into the wood. And what I'm using here is a pull saw. When using a pull saw, you're pulling away from the wood as you're cutting it, which means the blade can be a lot thinner. You're removing a lot less material. This is because you don't need to resist the bending of the metal as you're cutting through. I love how physics kind of finds a way to seep into little things. Okay, yeah, so there are three types of saws. There's also the electric. This saw is called an oscillating saw. It's often referred to as a demolition tool, but I don't like that. That makes me feel like I'm not using it right. For me, this saw cuts down the chisel work when I'm doing a mortise joint. Now things are really coming in together, like a little Lego. And if you're new into woodworking, well, never learn from an expert. That would only make you feel like a rookie. And here's a really good tip. Always cover up your screws immediately after you're putting them in. Never at the end. Don't give yourself the option to regret. Moving on, now starting on the top half of the table. Basically, cutting, gluing, screwing, and repeat. It's the secret cure to nihilism. Trick your brain into feeling accomplished just by jointing a few sticks together. Side effects may include sawdust in your coffee. But hey, at least you get a cool table out of it. Woodworking is magic. This piece of wood already has some experience in being a table. It was used once and then dumped and reused, and now it has a third chance at life. I can spend hours planning on paper or in Adobe Illustrator, but when you're over the piece of wood, I end up just changing all my blueprints and going with what seems right for that piece. Practice makes perfect. Every time you make a cut, it just takes less time. Well, excluding sanding. Sanding just takes longer and longer. I think I'm going to get myself a sanding robot. Yeah, they have invented that, right? Now I'm using the router to cover the finish on the edge. I tried plugging in the Ethernet cable. I mean, the box said it's 20,000 RPM. I don't really know how much that is in megabytes per second, but I don't know. I think it works. It's just that I was in this store looking at furniture, and I was asking myself, well, why can't I build this? And the answer for that cost me the price of another tool. And look, I still can't build any furniture. Now we're at the tricky part, and this is where the table is kind of special, because I'm going to use ropes to tie down the top part to the base. And once all the ropes are stretched, it should hold up. Now, I don't really know this yet, but I messed up here. I'm using the grinder bit on the drill to carve sockets to the rope knots. What I didn't take into account was the vibrations. After grinding the first socket, the base became completely wobbly. But before I fix it, I want to do the other three right, so this is what I should have done all along. I should have clamped it down steady from the beginning. Okay, so now it's time to fix the base. The screws are still holding, but it's wobbly, which means the glue is no longer holding the two pieces together. I'll just scoop some glue into the crack, and I know what you think. I should take it apart and reassemble it, but the screws, they're hidden. So, well, I won't tell if you won't. It really doesn't need to hold any weight. The entire load will sit on the ropes. So it's fine, I promise. And now I'm putting in the varnish. I know it's not quite done yet, but I don't want to get any varnish on the ropes, so I'm putting it ahead of time. A quick tip, this stuff is brush nasty. I use a disposable rag because the hassle and the chemicals that you would need to keep your brush alive is just not worth it. This is the top part. Its leg is supposed to just float, while the tabletop is suspended from ropes that pull it down. If there's one thing I've learned, it's always to cover up the screws. Old habits die hard. Now putting on the varnish on the top part. This is important because the table is going to be outside. So especially on the tabletop, several layers, and later I'm planning on putting another protective layer after the varnish. We'll get there. Attaching the ropes to the top part, the tie in the rope is hidden in the socket. Like always, glue and screws. The screws hold it tight until the glue dries. And finally, the assembly. We are getting there. This is very close. Here, another set of hands would have been great, but I've got this. I've stacked leftover pieces to temporarily hold the floating top, and now it's just a little tricky to get the ropes tight and at the right... Oh. How bad is it? Yeah, remember the glue? So, attempt 1 is a no-go. Wood glue, so I was told, holds only if it dries under pressure. I kinda knew that, but sometimes knowing is not enough. Additionally, the screws didn't really go through the center of the second piece. They are very close to the edge. It's harder to aim when you're trying out non-90 degrees joints. But the nice thing about wood is that it tends to really let you know when it's not happy, which is exactly what it did now. Another issue is pulling out the old screws. I can't really find the heads. Where did I put them? I ended up, well, yeah, so you see, half of a screw will forever be hidden in there, apparently. But there, I got it all back together, and this time it's strong and it's built correctly. Of course, all the screws are hidden, everything is back to normal. We are back at assembly, and this time, yeah, I am going to be a little bit more careful, but I'm going to fast forward here a little bit because there is going to be a third assembly coming up. It's all good. Here's the proof of concept. It works. It holds. I went ahead and cut the ropes, and for a moment there, I was satisfied with the table. I did, however, scratch the top of the table when I flipped it over, and I have dragged it on the floor, and that would have to be fixed. But other than that, something still feels a little bit wrong. It's not quite floating the way it should. And I kind of know what the problem is. I did hesitate, but after sleeping on it, I decided not to ignore the fact that the ropes are too short. And they used to be perfectly good. I mean, I cut them, they were the right length. I just cut them too short. And now the top is just not high enough over the base. So we're taking a few steps back. But first I'm fixing the top, and I'm putting another protective layer on it. I am mostly just trying to avoid the part where I'm taking it all apart and putting it back together. I think I might be over-nurturing this table right now. When I just got started, I was rough cutting everything and pretending to sand every little inch. But now I really care for this piece. This time I am more careful not scratching the top part. I'm using the dog's pillow. I can kind of drill through the pegs until I reach the screws, and once I get the screws out, it's just the glue that's holding, and the glue was put on top of the varnish. I didn't scrape the wood or anything, and that's so much better. That way the glue doesn't hold nearly as strong. And just a little bit of chisel work, and the piece kind of pops out. I like how this wood is turning out to be. Most furniture is not made out of solid wood. There were so many times a friend would give me a call and say, oh, you have to come pick this up. It's a beautiful piece of real solid wood that someone threw away. And I would show up and I would find like a chipboard or an MDF covered with veneer. And I can tell the difference. For me, the difference is really clear. I don't know how you can't tell. Wood just feels better. And most importantly, it has the potential of being chucked away and found by me. And here it is. The table is complete. In the morning light, wow, the wood just pops bright. Nothing like direct sunlight to ruin your wood, your skin, your sleep, your wine, and basically anything. People questioned me about the stability of the table, so here. 2 glasses of wine, and it gives it the final touch. It holds. More wine, and other things start to be unstable. But yeah, the table holds. So there it is. It's not a kids-friendly table, but it's holding wine. That's it for this project. I had a lot of fun building it, and I hope you enjoyed. See you next project.